Greetings, disruptors. We are live today with Nicole Marie, and we are talking about you're brilliant, you're accomplished, but you're also burnt the hell out. This episode is for the woman who's tired of pretending she's okay and finally ready to lead her life from joy, not just grind. So today, I'm having a conversation with Nicole Marie, Burnout to Brilliance Coach. Nicole Marie, rather. Thank you for being here. My first question for you is how do you show up in the world?
Great question. First of all, thank you so much, Selena, for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. Really thrilled to be doing this with you and having this conversation. How do I show up in the world? Well, now I show up in the world really just being myself, being much less worried about the social masks that we put on and the all the things that we're supposed to do and all of the ways that we're supposed to perform and
Yeah,
just really focus much more on showing up authentically, what feels aligned and right for who I am and what I believe and what I need and want, and really releasing a lot of what the other expectations are.
I love
That's
that.
how I'm showing up.
That speaks to me so much. I call it maintaining the status quo because that's
Hmm.
what's got us here in the first place.
Correct. Correct. Exactly. Exactly. I talk about all the time how I feel like I was always in the mindset of wanting to do everything I was told was the right things to do, right? You go to school, you study really hard, and you do that, you're going to get good grades. And if you get good grades, you'll get into the college, and you go to college and you get the degree, and then you go out and get the job and you do all the things, right? All the
Check
things they
all the
tell
boxes.
you, check all the boxes, and you're going to have this great life, right? You're going to
Yeah,
get married, you're going to have kids, everything's going to be wonderful. And yeah, I did a lot of those things, not as wonderful as I expected them to be, and some of them really not great at all, right?
Mhm.
Because, and I think because I was so focused on what other people were telling me was the right thing and what society kind of trains us to believe is the right thing, and all done in this paradigm um, of constant giving, constant
Mhm.
like self-sacrifice, and if you're the good daughter or the good wife or the good mother or whatever, then you just put everybody else's needs ahead of your own because that's what you're supposed to do, right?
For sure.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I found out, after a while, I realized that's not working. That's
Mhm.
not working, and it led me to some really difficult and painful and heartbreaking places that I had to really climb out of and completely rebuild from.
I'm known as the disruptor coach, so I wonder what did the disruptor in you have to disrupt?
Yeah, I had to disrupt everything. I refer to it as what you calling disruption. I kind of refer to as deconstruction, like
Mhm.
really deconstructing like all the relationships in my life, whether that is relationships with people that I'm in an intimate relationship with, people that I'm in a family relationship with,
Right.
coworkers, and most importantly, the relationship with myself.
Absolutely.
And really break that all down and really look at what is this about? Who am I when I show up here? Who are they? What is that? What are the dynamics we're playing out in these relationships, even with myself? Who
Yeah.
do I think that I am? And what does that mean for how I think I need to show up in spaces versus who am I really? And how can I show up really and truly just as myself? And not what I think other people need me to be, or what I think other people want me to be, or what I think is acceptable and respectable, and all of these other things. And what is it really? And deconstructing that or disrupting all of that, and then rebuilding from there. What does that mean to me now, and not what it meant to me then?
Well, take us through that journey of
Yeah.
deconstruction and what is happening now. Tell us all about it.
It's been a long journey. And I think one of the key moments for me in that journey was sitting in a hospital room
Mm,
and really asking myself this question of like, how did I get here?
mm,
How did I get here? And how is this my life right now? Right? Like I thought I checked all the boxes, I did all the things, right? It's supposed to be good. Everything's supposed to be good. And yet here I am, and I don't like any of this.
girl,
And I don't want any of this.
giving me chills. This Your
Yeah.
story is sounding so much like mine.
Yeah.
There was a hospital room definitely
There was a
involved,
hospital room, right?
and going inward and asking myself that question, like, how in the hell did
How
I
did
get
I
here?
get here?
Like, what's
And
going on with me?
what is going on with me? But it was a really powerful moment though, too, because it was not only like it wasn't just that I was conscious of myself asking the question. It was almost like there was this other person there asking me the
Mm,
question, turning it back at me and being like, yeah, who are you? What are you doing here? What is this? And there was almost this sense, almost like, is any of this even real? And that was a really kind of profound moment for me of like, well, what is all of this? And it really caused me to have to shift and really have to reevaluate and really take a look at it. And that's what started that deconstruction process of what is this? How did I get here? Is this even what I want? And it's not. And so what does that mean? Do I need to just like blow up everything
mm,
to figure out what that is? And in some aspects, in some part of my life, I did kind of have to blow it up. And then there were other aspects where I didn't want to blow it up, but now how do I show up differently? And that sent me down this really different path of really kind of exploring, well, what does that mean? And it took me in a lot of different spaces, right? Like part of this sent me on this path of exploring um, these profound moments that people have when they have these huge perspective shifts. And it sent me down this path of learning about what people experience when they have like a near death experience. And because I could really relate to that experience of having this huge shift in thought and shift in transformation, but then kind of what do you do with it now?
mm-hmm.
And one of the things that really grabbed me around some of those experiences was like people really had this moment, this shake up moment when they kind of look at themselves and their life from almost this third perspective. And that was kind of what was
Absolutely.
happening to me, is I was kind of getting this third perspective of like, hey, that girl over there, what is she doing? What's going on here? And when you have that, it can also be kind of um, you can kind of feel alone in it too, because everybody knows you the way they're used to seeing you,
Yeah.
right? And so when you're coming in saying, I don't know if I like that, and I don't know if I want that, people are then not everybody's ready to hear that, right? They're like, what
You're
are you talking
using
about?
your voice, eh?
Yeah,
Mm,
what are you talking about? And they have a perception of you, right? They think,
absolutely.
you've put on a certain mask too, where you presented yourself a certain way, and they have a certain perception of you. So they think, oh, you've got this under control. You know what you're doing. You've got it all together. And you're like, yeah, no, nope, no, and I'm not feeling that at all right now.
So let me ask
And
some
mhm,
clarifying questions if you don't mind,
mhm,
because I'm so curious now.
mhm,
So you jumped right in. It all started in a hospital room. Tell
mhm,
me more about that. Were you actually in the hospital? And you're using the word you, but I wonder if you mean I in
mhm,
some instances,
mhm, mhm.
to really help that woman out there see if
Yes.
she's in this story.
Yes, yes. Thank you for asking that. So yeah, so in this particular situation, because there were multiple pieces along this way, but in this
Yeah.
particular situation, I wasn't the one who was ill. It was someone very close to me.
Mhm.
And it put me in a position of having to kind of drop everything and provide a lot of full-time care
Yeah.
while also being a mom and having kids, and while also having a very demanding full-time job, and also a side hustle, and also, all the
Hmm.
other things, right? And it was this moment where I was just like, this is all too much.
Yeah.
This is all too much. And I and I had to really kind of reevaluate, okay, well, what am I going to do right now? Now, I made the choice in that moment that I needed, there was things I needed to do to help this person, and I was in the best position to do that.
Okay.
However, it also again kind of made me look and say, how did I get here?
Right. I
How
feel
did
it.
I get here? How did I get here where I am just in this constant state of doing for all these people and all these things, and there's really almost no time to myself, and I'm
Mhm.
not really feeling fulfilled or happy in any of these roles, or
Absolutely.
very few of them. And so what is going on?
Yeah.
And yeah, and how did I get here? And the how I got here was because I really allowed myself to take on all these roles that other people had kind of pushed me towards, or directed me towards, or said to me, this is what you do in this situation, or this is how you should show up. And that really wasn't aligned with who I really was
Hmm.
and who I really wanted to be.
When I went inward and I asked myself that question too, and I had to get real and honest about it, I uncovered, even though, because I, girl, I could feel like I could be you in this story. Um, I, when I got really honest with myself, I realized there were things that I was getting out of it. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I was
Mm-hmm.
giving and doing all of the things, there were
Right.
things that I was getting out of it. Did you
Absolutely.
come to that realization?
Yeah, that one took longer to come to.
Yeah.
Yes, but yes, you're right, because there's this dynamic that plays out, right? And so you're realize, and at some point you do realize, oh wait, but I was kind of getting something out of it because I was putting myself in this role of fixer, right? Of doer, right? Of receiving some kind of feedback or positive accolade or affirmation about who I was because I was doing or fixing, right? And yeah, that's a hard one to look at and say, oh wait, it's really easy to be like, well, why doesn't this person do this thing, and why don't they do? But then there's something I'm getting from being able to fix the situation, being able to do something about it, and having to confront myself and say, like, is that really what you want to be doing? Is this really giving you joy? Is this really making you feel good about yourself? Or is this some kind of external validation that you think you need?
Absolutely. That's what
Yeah.
and even the women that I serve as well had identified they were showing up the way that they wanted other people to kind of show up for them. Did you find that
Right. Yes,
way?
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a space in at that point in my life um where I could allow people to show up for me in the way that I wanted, because because I hadn't been taught the tools to ask for that.
Yeah,
I hadn't been taught that I deserved that.
absolutely.
And I hadn't been shown what it looks like to allow myself to receive it, or to even ask for it in a way that felt authentic, and not like I was burdening someone.
Ah, Ashe. I
Mhm.
feel every bit of this, Nicole. So what's the hidden cost of being a high achiever who never rests or slows down?
Ooh, there's so many. And I think the cost can show up in your health. And I know for me, even though in that particular situation that I just described, I wasn't the one in the hospital. I
Yeah.
later was. I later was, and I later did end up in a hospital with my own illnesses and my own health issues. And that was one way that cost presented itself, as I had to go through a significant surgery that was really difficult, and a recovery period that was challenging. And when I looked at it, I remember thinking, even at the time, this is the cost, right? This is what you were holding on to all
Mm.
this time, right? And had amassed in your body, that you now need to have removed,
Oh, wow.
because you just were unable to really be in connection with yourself in an authentic way,
Yeah.
so that you could show up in an authentic way, so that you could be, yourself, and
Yeah.
not be holding and harboring and hiding and all of these things that in my opinion
Hmm.
were hugely contributors to my condition. And I think that, science even shows us that when we're in high states of stress, right, that we build up cortisol in the body, we build up inflammation in the body, and these things contribute to or exacerbate or even can sometimes cause illness,
Ah,
right? So we know that there's a connection, right? So even if we're predisposed to something genetically, we can make it worse by being stressed, right? And we all can probably relate to those instances where I used to be famous for this, right? Where I would feel like I was getting sick, right?
mm,
And then I would try to push through because, I've
yeah,
got to get to work. I've got to do these things. I've got to, get the house together or do these things for the kids. And I try to push through. And then what happens? You get more sick,
right.
right? So instead of the easy path of, oh, I feel like I'm getting a little run down, let me go ahead and take off today and get some rest
Yeah,
and really just allow my body to recover, and that thing is gone in a day or two. No, I pushed through, and
yeah,
now I'm in the bed for a week because because I had to, just because I couldn't let go and I couldn't put the thing down, and I pushed myself through something. And so definitely physical illness is one. And I
mhm,
and I think and I think the even deeper one is, another one is self-abandonment, right?
mm,
Just not being true to who you actually are,
yeah,
and really just abandoning yourself. And that, I'm not even sure that sometimes we recognize when we do that. But to me, the one dead giveaway I know when I've abandoned myself is when
yeah.
I feel resentment.
Ooh, ooh. Say more about that.
Yeah.
Self-abandonment. This is the second time I've heard that word in the last couple of weeks. I don't know that I had ever heard that word before, and it
Hmm.
struck me so
Hmm.
hard. Like, oh
Hmm.
my God, that's a
Yeah.
word. That's a whole
Hmm.
word. And
That
so when
is.
you feel resentment, you
Hmm.
know that you're abandoning yourself.
I know that there's something happening. There's something that needs to get explored inside of me about what this resentment is really about.
What did you uncover?
Yeah, what I uncovered was that there's so I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
One was, I remember one time, one of my kids saying something to me about um, why I couldn't spend more time at their school like some of the other moms did.
Mm,
And I remember feeling like really frustrated about that, and being like really like resentful about like how these other moms can like have all this time to hang out at their kids' school. Now, why why should I feel any kind of way about any mom who has the ability to spend time with their, good for them,
right.
right?
Mhm.
That's great. That's wonderful. But why should I feel upset about that? And the only reason for me to be feeling upset about that is because I'm feeling some kind of resentment. And the only reason I'm feeling resentment is because there's some part of me that would like to do that,
Yeah.
but I'm not allowing myself to do it
Mm,
because I'm believing the story that I'm telling myself. And the story that I was telling myself at the time was, you have to do this job.
mm.
You
Ooh,
have to, because you have to earn this particular paycheck. You have to show up this way in the world. You have to do these things. When the truth was, maybe I didn't need to do that specific job. Maybe there's another job I could have done. Maybe I could have taken more time off from
yeah.
that job to spend more time there. There were other options, but the story I was
Mm,
telling myself was, no, I have to do this.
yeah.
Right. And so what that produced was, then I was kind of, essentially, I was lying to myself by saying I have to do this and there are no other options. And then that is a lie that there's some deeper part of me doesn't believe. And so then I become resentful when I see somebody else doing the thing that I would like to be doing,
Yeah.
but now I'm projecting on them some judgment about it, right? Like, oh, how do they have the time to just do this?
Yeah.
Who are these people? Who are these women that have this time? Well, they could be you if you would not abandon what you really want, which is to
Yeah.
spend some more time.
I love that. Life is such a mirror for us,
All the
so many
time.
ways, especially other people.
Exactly. All the time. It's mirroring something back to us all the time. And sometimes that can be something really beautiful, and so other times it can be areas where we need to kind of search at our in ourselves and say, what's going on there? What's this really about?
I love this. So your life is such a testament to so many women in getting here as the brilliant burnout coach that you are. So tell us, how do you know if you're burnt out versus
Mm.
just tired or stressed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that question. So to me, one of the ways that I like to frame this is when you're tired or you're stressed, it's usually kind of a moment in time, right? There's a specific thing that you're feeling kind of stressed about, or if you're tired, you can usually pinpoint like, yeah, last night I didn't get enough sleep. I go to bed earlier tonight, and I feel fine the next day. I feel kind of refreshed. I'm feeling pretty good, or stress about a particular scenario or situation. And typically, when that situation or scenario gets resolved, you're kind of feeling better. You're feeling back to yourself. You're feeling good. Things are
Yeah.
good. But burnout is a little different. Burnout is more prolonged, right? It's you're feeling exhausted, but it's the kind of exhausted that isn't just like I get a good night's sleep and I feel better. It's like I got a good night's sleep, I got 10 hours of sleep, and I'm still tired,
Mm.
right? Like that's more than tired, right? It's this cynicism or resentment or disconnection that you feel around a number of things, particularly around like your work or the situations that are happening around your life. And you just started to feel kind of cynical about it, like this is just how it is. Wash, rinse, repeat, right?
Right.
This is just what it is, right? Or and you're no longer really feeling like you're being as um, effective in your life the way that you want to be, right? The outcomes are not what you're wanting, right? You're not seeing yourself showing up the way you really want to show up, right? Like maybe you're not, maybe it's if it's in your family life, say, you're not feeling like you're showing and expressing the kind of love and connection that you really want to, that's really what's in your heart and you want to be able to show up as. Instead, you're feeling like you're just kind of you're going through more motions, right?
Yeah.
You're just doing the things versus really being present in it.
Mm.
And that's what I would say is those are signs of burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. Been there.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely
Mm-hmm.
been there.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
So how do you help women make peace with rest, not as a weakness, but as a power, right?
Yeah, this is exactly what I feel like is a huge part of the work, right? And I use work in air quotes, right? Because it's really not about doing something like that is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's more about doing the hard thing of things like saying no sometimes, right? Setting boundaries. Those can feel hard. They're not hard in that they're going to make you exhausted and tired, but they're hard because it's a shift in
Yeah.
what you typically do, and you're not in the habit of doing that. And
Yeah.
so whenever we're creating new habits and new ways of showing up, it can feel hard,
Yeah.
right?
I like to call them practices because
Yeah,
everything is practice.
exactly.
You haven't
Exactly.
done it before. Uh,
Exactly.
I love that. So create shifts in how you're showing up and starting with no, that complete sentence.
No is a complete sentence.
What did that look like the first time you said no?
Well, because
What
I
had
because
happened was,
yeah, right. Well, because I am who I am, and because I couldn't just say no as a complete sentence. I started with no, thank you,
that's a good one.
which was helpful because because that kind of because there's also the need to because part of my personal persona, there's the need to be polite, the need to be liked, right? This is a lot of us work through these things. And so for me, the softer version of that was no thank you. But for me it was a great bridge because I still didn't end it with and here's why,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right,
You
because we
didn't
can do that. We got to
explain.
give you the, we got to give the explanation, we got to give you the long. No, I don't have to give any of that. I
Yeah.
can just say no. But for me, the bridge was no, thank you. Thank you for thinking of me. No, that type of way. And that felt more doable for me as a way to start saying no.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
What went through you once you started saying it and then saw the results?
Yeah. Well, first it was fear, right? Like, oh my gosh, is it are they still going to be my friend if I say no, right?
Mhm.
And the truth was that yes, the people who are really my friends are still really my friends. And people who couldn't accept no, they're on their own journey. And I don't need to hold judgment for them. I don't need to hold judgment for myself. And I can, and maybe we're not no longer aligned, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's more important for me to be aligned with myself than it is for me to be aligned with something that is really not helpful for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've had that journey and yeah, it was interesting.
Hmm.
So, what's your favorite first step to help someone begin unlearning their hustle identity?
Mm. The first step, I would say, is slow down. Even for just 1 minute, can you sit still for just a minute? Can you do that and just see what comes up for you? Just observe it without judgment.
Yeah.
Just observe for a moment. If you just set a 2 minute timer and you just sat for 2 minutes and didn't do anything, and without any judgment, just observe what
Yeah.
comes up for you when you do that. My guess is for a lot of women, because this is way culturally we can get programmed, right? For a lot of women, the things that come up is I shouldn't be doing this. I should be being productive. There's all these
Mhm.
things on my to-do list that I need to do, and it's really not okay for me to just sit here,
Mm.
right? So some kind of guilt, right? Or shame, right? Like or maybe even the immediate thoughts go to the 20 other things that they need to do that they,
Oh,
oh
that
my
one.
gosh, I
Yeah.
forgot. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh my gosh, I didn't do the, oh my God, I better write that down. Oh my God, where's my, oh my God. What else they've got to do, right? More performance. Um, and if that's coming up for you, if these types of things are coming up for you, I just want to encourage you that it's okay. Like that is a normal part of this process. This
Yeah.
is what it means to kind of deconstruct, is to just look at those things and just sit with them and be okay that those things came up. Be okay that there's nothing wrong with you, that these are habits. And just like we learned these habits, we can
Mhm.
unlearn them.
I love that. I'm taking notes, by the way, because this is good.
Excellent. Excellent.
I
I
may
love it.
need these and I may need to share them with someone else.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Because we're
Good.
not we're not here in this experience. We're not here on this earth just to do, right? We are also here to be,
Ah,
right? We're here to be. And 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 when we are in that space where we can just be,
yeah.
then the doing becomes more about what is aligned with us more than it's about what we feel we have to do,
I
which
sure.
is really often coming from a place of obligation or pressure or expectations or things like that, which isn't always aligned with who we are
Right.
as human beings, right?
Right.
But if we can slow down and be present with ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
relax for a minute,
I love this.
it can be much calmer and easier to understand what is the thing that is aligned with us right now.
Mm.
What's in alignment right now?
I love that. What does brilliance actually look like when it's rooted in alignment and joy instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
performance?
I think the brilliance part, I think oftentimes when people hear this brilliance, or I talk about brilliance with a prospective client, they're like, well, I don't know if I have brilliance in me. And here and I think my response immediately to that is, oh, you are the brilliance.
Mm.
You already are the brilliance. It's already in you. It is you. The issue I find more often than not is that we have covered it up with all these other things,
Mm, mm-hmm.
right? That we think are needed to for us to be brilliant, when in fact it's probably the removing of them that allows the brilliance to come through.
Ashe, Ashe. Wow, wow. Nicole, you are the brilliance. So I got
Yeah.
two headlines going on here. You are the
Uh-huh.
brilliance.
Yes.
We are not here to just do. We are here to be.
Yes.
Girl. Y'all hear
Yes.
that, ladies? You can say Nicole said.
Yes.
What is one truth you wish every high achieving woman knew about unlearning pressure and choosing joy?
Um, you will thank yourself. You will appreciate yourself so much more when you make that shift.
Mm,
I think more often than not, at least for me and from other women that I see, when they make that shift, they're like, oh, I see now. I get it. And they are so much more appreciative of who they are
yeah,
as people, who they are appreciative of themselves, they're appreciative of others, and they're appreciative of the world that they're in
yeah.
on such a deeper level than is available to them when they are just in that hustle, in that rush, in that grind, in
Mm-hmm.
that doing all the time, that nonstopness.
I love that. 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 One more question around this.
Yes, yeah, sure.
Could you talk about how joy and alignment aren't luxuries, but leadership strategies?
Yes, yes. Because when you are so I've been in many leadership positions.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually love them. And a lot of people complain about them, right? Because but you got to do this, you got to do that. But if you are leading from a place that is grounded and rooted in who you are,
Oh,
then you are showing up as your full self. You are not in a state of stress, because when you're in a state of stress, oftentimes you're kind of going into like a lot of analysis and overthinking.
yeah.
And stress is generally, you're not making your best decisions from a straight state of stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are not your best moments when you're like really stressed out. Think about it. Think about those moments when you've just been like super stressed out. You're not really making your best decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your best decisions are usually coming from a place when you're calm,
Yeah.
when you're centered,
Yeah.
when you're breathing,
Mm-hmm.
when you're grounded,
Sure.
and you really connect to that inner voice, that small, still voice that just uses a couple of words. It doesn't speak in right, right. When you're
Yeah.
connected to that, you're speaking from an aligned place. You're speaking from your own brilliance, from your own divinity, from your own inner wisdom. And so then the path forward becomes
Mm-hmm.
much clearer,
Yeah.
right? And it's not that you're necessarily seeing 25 steps ahead, but even if it's just the one step ahead,
Yeah.
that one step becomes much clearer when you are calm, when you are centered, when you are grounded and rooted in your own brilliance. You can see that next step, right? That's leadership.
I love that.
That's leadership.
How would you define brilliance?
Um, Again, it's you. It's your inner wisdom. It's your inner divinity. It's you. It's the essence of who you actually are. When
Mm,
the mask is off,
yeah.
right? When we're not performing,
So that's why it's a leadership quality,
right?
because you're showing up in all your fullness. I would
Correct.
imagine too, and I wholeheartedly believe this, because you're wearing the mask and all of the things, and you're in a leadership position, if you are not showing up as your full self, you're kind of robbing the people that you serve in the organization of that, right?
Correct.
Because that's really
Correct.
the value that
That
you
you're bringing
bring.
is
Yeah,
you. It's your authenticity. It's the truth of who you actually are.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you're in a constant state of burnout and stress, you're making decisions from the stress place, from the burnout place, from the exhausted place, from the doing too much place, from the overthinking place, from the people pleasing place, from the
right,
controlling place, from the all those places, right? Those are not places where your inner brilliance is apparent and glowing and shining.
yeah,
And so you're unlikely to be giving the best your best self, right? Your
absolutely.
aligned self, your brilliant self.
This is so good. Oh my gosh. Just the reality that, oh, not showing up as myself, I'm not being brilliant enough.
You're not.
Ooh, I
You're
love
not.
I love
You're
that.
you might be being who you think you need to be in the moment, and that's okay. I'm not here to judge, right? Because we've all been there. I know I've been there.
Absolutely.
It's not about judging it. It's about stepping back for a moment, getting that perspective, kind of taking a look at it without judgment, without criticism, and really being like, is that really who I am? Is
Yeah,
that who I want to be? Is that how I want to show up? And I would say, and if you're burned out, probably none. I'm sure you're not feeling good about those spaces. But
yeah,
if you can come back to yourself, and what I like to do and in my work is really show women the tools that they can have and use to help them stay in those spaces more often and for more of the time. And the more they do that, the more they see that what happens for them, the more they're going to develop that habit. And like anything, it's a habit. It takes time to develop. It's not going to happen overnight,
right.
but you can do it one moment at a time, one day at a time. And before you know it, you'll find yourself showing up differently and you'll be like, oh, I just had that experience or this potentially triggering moment, and I didn't react the way I usually react. I did something different. I
Yeah,
shifted it. And then now lots more things become open to you.
that is so good. That is so good. The universe then becomes yours.
Yes, yes,
I love
yes.
that. I love that. So, speaking of work, what
Mhm.
work do you do?
So I coach women on how to release that burnout and come into their alignment. And I do that in a number of ways. I have some one-on-one coaching. I do some group coaching. I also host retreats. And I'm newly going to be launching a new offering, which is a community-based offering. And it's called Aligned AF.
Mm,
And it's about really taking a serious, strong stand to say, I am done with all that nonsense that I was doing, just running around and trying to do it all and be the most and do the most
yeah,
because it's exhausting and I'm tired. And I'm not just tired in my body, I'm tired in my soul, I'm tired in my mind, I'm tired of it. And you want to really come back to alignment. This is a community of women ready to align together because there's so much power in that community. In community, when you are around other women who also are ready for that shift, who
yeah,
can be present with you, who can hold you, encourage you, support you, and go on this journey together, the power is so much greater when we're doing something together because we can read the book, we can get the journal, we can listen to that's great. Those are all powerful tools. But
yeah,
when you're doing it in isolation, there's it's it there's still there's a little something missing. It's going to be helpful. Don't get me wrong. I've read all the books, right? I've done the journals. They're good. They're good. But there's something more that happens. There's something magical that happens when you're in a community with other women who are also on that journey
yeah.
and
Absolutely.
supporting you on that journey, right?
Yeah,
Who are
knowing you're
cheering you
not
on and
alone.
saying, "Yes, go ahead and say no, girl. Go ahead and take that nap. It's okay." right?
Ooh, they're giving you permission, the permission
Get
slip.
the permission slip, because sometimes we need that support, right? Because we're shifting into doing something that we haven't done before. And just look, let's just be clear. The mind is a powerful thing, right? And the mind is always going to try to get you to go back to whatever the habit is that you already have. Okay. It's
Mm,
always going to do that. And so if you're trying to create a new habit, it can be really challenging if you don't have support. If you're just trying to do it on your own, that's
yeah.
really, it's not that you can't do it, but it's challenging. But if you've got support that says, no, 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 I see you and I see what you're trying to do. And I'm going to encourage you and I'm going to be here with you because we're going to take that step together. Boy, that change becomes much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us more about your new, now, is it aligned as fuck or
It
is
is.
it aligned AF?
We're saying aligned AF, but we know what it means.
I
We know
just,
what it means.
I wanted to clarify for the
Yeah,
people
we
in
know
the
what it
back.
means. Because
Okay.
we gotta have a little spice and a little humor in there, right? We can't take
Yes,
all this stuff too seriously, right? So we gotta keep it
absolutely.
spicy, keep it fun, and remember not to take any of this stuff too seriously, because this is where we can also get back into that old patterning of taking everything very seriously, never giving ourselves a break, never resting, never relaxing because everything is so serious. No, everything doesn't
Being
have to be that serious. Being
responsible.
responsible. Oh my God, the amount of responsibility. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Responsible for everything, everyone, everywhere, all the time. Enough. Enough. You're not responsible for all of that.
I love this. I love this. I love this. This is so good. What do you need us to do for those that are interested in the offer and where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website. My website, I'm sure you're going to have the link
See it?
there, but it's www. Nicole Marie, the number three, and then coco.com. And we're going to be launching some details there very soon, where you'll be able to hear more about the community. You'll be able to see what it will be like to join. We're also going to launch a challenge, a 7-day rest challenge. It's to really start getting us excited about what is available to us when we finally slow
Yeah.
down, bring it in, and start to feel that alignment and what that possibility opens up for us.
Oh my goodness, this sounds so good. So they're going to go to the website. You're going to
Yes,
have all the deets for
the
them there.
deets will be there. The deets will
I
be
love
there.
that. Do you have a launch date yet, or is there a waiting list?
There is the launch date has not been set yet. There is a waiting list, and you will be able to join the waiting list on their website. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing lots of beautiful, brilliant, amazing women in that space. We're going to have all kinds of different events. We'll have different events online. We'll have different events in person. We'll have tools. We'll have just relaxation and joy and fun with each other as we kind of walk each other through this journey.
I love that. I love that. And what can they expect after coming out of this journey or going through
Yeah.
this journey per
Yeah.
se?
What they can expect is to really rediscover who they really are, and really and decide who they really want to be, right? Because this is a window, a door, this is an opening, right? It's an opening for you to rediscover yourself, really see yourself, really get to know what it is that you want in this next part of your journey, because you've already seen what you've created so far, and a lot of it is great, and then I'm sure there are some parts that you're like, I'm ready to leave behind, particularly the burnout,
Yeah,
right? And so now is a chance to vision, what do you want it to look like moving forward? But the first piece is you've got to be still enough to create that vision,
I shall.
right? So coming into rest, coming into relaxation, into grounding, into alignment, into your breath. All of these things are an important first step to then get to the place where you're like, okay, now what am I creating? What does this look like now?
Yeah, that is so good. I love asking this question as well. Can you share a favorite book, podcast, or resource that has significantly impacted your life on this journey that may help someone else?
Oh yeah. So I definitely think that, and I just her name just actually escaped me, but The Nap Ministry. There's a
Oh,
podcast, and she has a book, really fantastic. Just really, again, exploring how we've gotten so hung up around this inability, this constant hustle and grind kind of culture, and why we can't rest. I think those are some really um, beautiful resources to really just start even exploring questions like who deserves rest,
mm-hmm.
right? Because how many times have you even said to yourself? I know I've said to myself, "Oh, I can't rest. I haven't done anything today."
Yeah.
Whatever that means. Whatever that means. Like, where is it written that you have to do something today in order to be worthy of rest? Where is that written?
Well, right now it's written in my notes that we are not here to just do, we are here to
Right.
be
Yes.
also.
Yes.
So it is written. Ladies,
It
write
is
that
written. Yes.
down if you
Write that
didn't catch
down.
it when she said it. Replay and rewind this video so you can say Nicole Marie said. I'm just saying. I love this
Hmm.
so much for the women here.
Hmm.
Nicole, is there anything else that you would love to share that maybe I did not ask?
Um, I think that the one thing I also guess would like to share is I really want to frame this in a way that this isn't about, like, improving yourself, making yourself better in some kind of way that feels like you're broken or
Yeah.
there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed.
That's true.
Uh, we just want to come home to ourselves.
Yeah.
Come home to ourselves. Come home to the truth of who you are. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. Definitely need to be loved on, definitely need to be encouraged, definitely need to be supported with women who will love and support and grow with you.
That's
But
true.
there's nothing wrong with you.
I appreciate that. I
Mm.
appreciate that. I'm sure she does too. There's nothing wrong with you, sister, at
Yeah.
all. You are beautifully, fearfully, and wonderfully
Wonderfully
made.
made. Exactly. Exactly.
Ashe. Well, before we get out of here, I have one more question to ask.
Sure.
Do
Cool.
you have any questions for me?
Ooh, tell me, tell me what was one of the most powerful points of your journey?
Oh, girl, there's so many.
I know, right?
The most powerful, the most powerful, the most powerful. I had so many. What first came up in my mind, because you mentioned the hospital room, I became my ex's full-time caregiver after they
Hmm.
had a medical incident, and it just got really crazy. So there was narcissism involved in the marriage, and it was clear. I learned 3 months in and all the things. And I really thought that, you know, I got this. If you're
Hmm.
gonna, do all the right things that you say you're gonna do to honor addressing these things and all the things, then I know who I was. I was a whole mess at another season. And I believe recognizing that that situation was just too much
Hmm.
because I became
Hmm.
lost. I didn't
Mm.
know who I was anymore. It was the final compromise
Hmm. Hmm.
of um, me
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I was self-abandoning myself just about at
Hmm.
every time turn,
Yeah.
sake of
Yep.
keeping the peace, compromising
Yes.
all of the things. And then it got to a point where like I like my small still voice, my inner voice was no longer talking to me and I couldn't
Hmm.
hear it.
Couldn't hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I decided, because my prayer used to be like, Lord, I know this could not be what you had in mind for me. Woo!
Hmm.
I know
Hmm.
it. And
Hmm.
in that, I was like, I gotta, I gotta go. I gotta do something.
Hmm.
Y'all gotta
Hmm.
forgive me because I wear uh One second.
No
Let me just
problem.
turn around.
I appreciate what you're saying though about the you didn't even know who you were anymore. That resonates for me. That's I think the key um piece of that idea of abandoning yourself, right? Like, who am I anymore? Who I don't even recognize myself.
Yeah,
And once you get to that place, it can feel really disorienting and really just like, oh my God, now what I do, right?
absolutely. And I started feeling like I don't even know who I am. And I made the choice. A girlfriend would call me all the time and check on me. I didn't even know that this was like really, really happening. And one day she just called and said to me, God forgives all sin, even divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know I needed to hear that. I don't even know that I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about that. I just had
Mm-hmm.
been praying, like, God, I know this is not what you had in mind for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that gave me a little window, a little bit more release to to
Mm-hmm.
to start entertaining the possibility. And I decided that I'm going to start focusing fully on me
Mm-hmm.
and all the things that I want and all the things that I desire, because the full focus and energy of everything going on had been on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and took piano lessons. I Something else I did, just things that I really wanted to do. And what I
Exactly.
didn't know at the time was I was waiting for the sign that I was going to be released from that.
Right. Right.
And then when that came, it was like all systems go. Boom.
Right.
And
Right.
so I would say that was the
That was a
biggest
huge
one.
transformation. And I think it's so beautiful that you were able to get to that place of just like, okay, I see that I need to focus more on what brings me joy, right? In
Absolutely.
your piano lessons. And that helped create that shift for you of like, okay, I gotta go. I
Got
gotta
it.
go. And I feel like this is so many women where and it's people generally, like typically we won't make a change until it's painful enough,
Yeah. And like
right?
you were saying that we are the brilliance, what I started recognizing was that I'm the most valuable thing that I have.
Of
It's me.
course. Of course.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was helpful. It was
Mm-hmm.
helpful. It was still a long journey of recovery, but it was absolutely probably the biggest.
Yeah. And now here you are helping all these women.
It's
Amazing.
it's been a journey. And what's beautiful about it is that I get to meet other women that are in the same lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm not the only one out here doing that, and that we can work together and support one another.
Absolutely.
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 So with that being said, y'all heard what Nicole said, what she has to offer. Any last comments, Nicole, before we go?
Just thank you again so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate you sharing your story because there's definitely so much alignment, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing for so many women to help them really become empowered and seeing their true beauty and their true brilliance.
Absolutely. And ditto, my sister. I'm
Thank you.
glad that you said yes to the invitation and we were able to have this conversation. Ladies, disruptors out there, brilliant ones out there, we want you to take good care. That's our time today. But share this information, subscribe if it was helpful for you with any other woman that can also use this. Like, subscribe, share. Until next time, ladies, take good care of you.